Hello everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day. Today, we're diving into a chaotic yet heartwarming story. The very first days of Uri and Tu Tieu as new parents, full of laughter, unexpected mishaps, and even a runaway motorbike caused by a stray cow. You won't believe how they juggle parenthood, family drama, and Uri's bold journey to start his own company from scratch. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. After the baby's 1-month celebration, the wooden house, which had been filled with laughter and the soft coos of the little one, suddenly felt an unexpected tension. Lynn, who had been quietly observing from the side, noticed something alarming. Her motorbike, which she had parked just outside the house, was nowhere to be seen. Panic flashed across her face as she dashed into the yard, flailing her arms, and yelled at the top of her lungs, "Who took my bike?" Tu Tieu, still cradling the baby in her arms, let out a long sigh. She had expected calm, not chaos, for this milestone day. Uri, standing beside her, immediately stepped in, his hands raised slightly, trying to calm the storm. "Lynn, wait. Don't jump to conclusions," he began, his voice a mix of urgency and gentle persuasion. But Lynn's mind raced. She had been following Uri and Tu Tieu earlier in the day as they went to harvest jackfruit from the nearby orchard and prepare food for the market. She had been so focused on observing their every move that she barely noticed where she left her motorbike. In her panic, her mind immediately sought someone to blame, and Uri, standing there innocently, became the target. Unbeknownst to Lynn, the real culprit was a stray cow from the neighboring garden. Curious and wandering near the yard, the cow had nudged Lynn's bike with its broad forehead, toppling it onto the ground. Lynn, oblivious to the cow's antics, assumed her bike had been stolen. "You hid my bike, didn't you?" she accused Uri, her voice trembling with frustration. "You're trying to mess with me, aren't you?" Uri, now red-faced, struggled to keep the baby safe in one arm while gesturing with the other. "Lynn, no! I didn't touch your bike. Look, it's right there," he explained, pointing toward the fallen bike, still lying against the fence, with a couple of scratches and a slight tilt. But Lynn wasn't ready to listen. She stomped across the yard, shaking her fists, while Tu Tieu couldn't contain her laughter. The baby, sensing the tension, let out a squeaky little giggle, which only made the scene more absurd. It took a few tense minutes, but eventually, Lynn's gaze fell upon the bike, and she finally noticed the subtle clues: the small hoof prints in the soft dirt, the slight dents that didn't match a human kick, and the absence of any sign of forced entry. Her cheeks flushed as the realization sank in. It had been a combination of the stray cow's curiosity and her own distraction. Embarrassed, she finally muttered an apology, while the rest of the family laughed. Even the baby seemed to join in with a delighted squeal, turning the chaos into a moment of shared humor. With that minor drama resolved, Uri returned to the larger task that had been occupying his mind: building his own business from scratch. Determined to be independent of his mother's influence and support, he plunged into the enormous challenge of starting a company. Legal documents, business registration forms, product designs, recruiting staff, and seeking reliable partners consumed his days and nights. Every step was painstaking, and the early days were particularly grueling. He juggled endless paperwork with caring for the baby, navigating sleepless nights, and managing small tasks around the house. The workload was almost suffocating, But Uri's determination never wavered. With Tu Tieu by his side, helping with the baby, providing emotional support, and even lending a hand with minor tasks, he found the strength to continue. Slowly, methodically, the pieces began to fall into place. The company's first contracts were signed. The initial batch of employees was onboarded, and small projects began to generate modest but meaningful profits. Every little victory became a celebration, as Uri realized that his perseverance was finally starting to pay off. Amidst the chaos of entrepreneurship and parenthood, the family's daily life remained full of unpredictable, humorous, and touching moments. Selling jackfruit became a miniature adventure. Uri and Tu Tieu would harvest the ripe, fragrant fruits, laughing as the baby reached out to touch them, curious about their texture and aroma. Lin, occasionally present, would sometimes pause, watching her own misjudgment of Uri's actions and quietly feeling a twinge of guilt for earlier accusations. Cooking became a family event as well. Tu Tieu would prepare meals with the freshly harvested jackfruit, and Uri, despite his exhaustion, would help chop, stir, and even package the fruits for sale at the market. The baby would sit nearby in a makeshift high chair or crib, cooing at every movement, sometimes reaching out to grab a tiny piece of fruit, which caused Uri to jump and laugh. Moments like these, though simple, became treasured memories, a chaotic, heartwarming symphony of family life. Even ordinary household tasks took on new meaning. Lin, having learned her lesson about blaming others, occasionally helped tidy up or assist in meal prep, all the while stealing glances at Uri and Tu Tieu. The baby's laughter became a constant soundtrack, particularly when Uri and Tu Tieu engaged in playful arguments about whose turn it was to carry him or who had the better cooking skills. Each laugh, each spill, each tiny mishap became a story they would recount over and over, strengthening the bonds between them. Despite the challenges, these early days were magical. Uri's relentless work on the startup blended with the family's daily routines, creating a rhythm that was chaotic but fulfilling. The baby's curiosity, Lin's occasional guilt-laden interference, and Tu Tieu's calm, supportive presence combined to form a dynamic that was unpredictable, yet deeply comforting. Every day brought something new: a spilled batch of jackfruit, a misread recipe, a misplaced document. But together, they faced it all. As evening fell, the wooden house glowed with the soft light of lanterns, reflecting off the polished floors and casting shadows that danced across the walls. Uri would often find a moment to pause, holding the baby close while looking out at the garden and the distant fields. One day, all of this hard work will be worth it, he would whisper to Tu Tieu, who leaned against him, feeling the warmth of both the baby and the man she loved. Tu Tieu would smile, watching the baby's small fingers curl around Uri's hand. "It already is," she said softly, "because we're doing it together." In that tiny wooden house, amid the laughter, minor dramas, and the scent of jackfruit, they discovered a simple truth. Happiness was not about perfect days or smooth roads. It was about enduring hardships, celebrating small victories, and cherishing the people who stood by you through it all. And so, the days rolled on. Uri's startup slowly began to grow. Lin learned to navigate her own curiosity without jumping to conclusions. And Tu Tieu continued to hold the family together with quiet patience and love. The baby thrived amidst the laughter, the occasional scolding, and the endless adventures of daily life. every minor disaster, a cow toppling a bike, spilled jackfruit, or misplaced documents, became a shared story that would be remembered fondly. Through it all, the family learned resilience, patience, and the joy of small, genuine moments. They learned that building a business and nurturing a baby could coexist, even if it was messy, exhausting, and full of surprises. And they discovered that the laughter of a child, the support of a loved one, and the simple act of facing challenges together were more rewarding than any profit, any completed project, or any perfectly executed plan. In these early days, amidst the chaos of entrepreneurship and parenthood, they found their rhythm, a rhythm filled with humor, love, and lessons learned the hard way. Each moment, whether stressful or joyful, became a part of the story they would tell their child one day, a story of determination, family, and the magic hidden in everyday life. As the days went on, Uri's life became a delicate juggling act. Mornings began early, often before sunrise. While the baby slept, he pored over spreadsheets, drafted business proposals, and made calls to potential partners. Tu Tieu would quietly prepare breakfast, carefully timing her steps so as not to wake the little one. Sometimes, the baby would stir mid-task, reaching out with tiny hands, and Uri would drop everything to scoop him up. These moments, though chaotic, were the heart of their routine. Each sigh of frustration or burst of laughter reminded them that life was messy but beautiful. The baby's reactions became a source of endless amusement. When Uri presented him with a small piece of jackfruit while reviewing contracts, the infant's eyes would light up and his tiny fingers would clumsily try to grab it. Tu Tieu would laugh, saying, "Looks like someone knows what he likes." And Uri, though exhausted, couldn't help but smile, the stress of business temporarily melting away in the warmth of family life. Even Lynn, who had a knack for getting herself tangled in minor chaos, occasionally joined in, carefully observing and sometimes offering an exaggerated gasp of surprise when the baby made a new expression. Despite the laughter, the startup demanded Uri's constant attention. The early weeks were grueling. He spent late nights negotiating contracts, designing product prototypes, and balancing budgets. More than once, he found himself falling asleep in a chair with the baby cradled in one arm. The exhaustion was real, but each small success, an agreement signed, a prototype completed, a positive review from a partner, felt monumental. Tu Tieu remained his anchor, reminding him to rest, feeding the baby, and even stepping in to answer calls when his voice grew hoarse. Together, they formed an unspoken rhythm, alternating between work, childcare, and the simple joys of life in their wooden house. Selling jackfruit became another adventure, a mix of work and play. The baby would watch with curiosity, giggling at Uri's exaggerated demonstrations of how to pick the perfect fruit. Uri would exaggerate every movement, making funny faces, which caused the baby to laugh uncontrollably. Even Lynn, initially resentful over the earlier bike incident, couldn't resist joining in the laughter. The garden became a stage where minor dramas turned into memorable family moments. Every spill, every slip, and every enthusiastic bite of jackfruit was documented in Uri's mind as part of a story he would one day tell his child. Meanwhile, Tu Tieu found herself balancing her nurturing instincts with supporting Uri's ambitions. She would often prepare meals in the kitchen while the baby played nearby, her attention split between simmering pots and tiny giggles. she made simple dishes with jackfruit, sticky rice, and local ingredients. Each meal a small celebration of their life together. Uri would occasionally sneak in to taste test, making exaggerated faces of delight or mock critique, which sent Tu Tieu into peals of laughter. These small, joyful moments became the glue holding their hectic lives together. Lin, observing from the sidelines, gradually softened. The motorbike incident had taught her a lesson in patience and perspective, and now she often laughed along with the family, sometimes mischievously trying to get the baby to mimic funny faces or sounds. The initial tension melted into a playful camaraderie. Though she still had a flair for drama, it became part of the household's rhythm rather than a source of real conflict. Together, the trio, Uri, Tu Tieu, and Lin, navigated a world that was unpredictable but full of warmth and love. Uri's startup slowly took root. Small projects started generating profit, but each step required careful attention. He had to negotiate contracts, manage the expectations of partners, and ensure the quality of his products, all while not missing a moment with his child. There were days when deadlines clashed with feeding schedules, and nights when he had to juggle prototype tests with diaper changes. But every challenge strengthened his resolve. He began to realize that building a company was not just about profit. It was about creating something lasting while honoring the family that supported him. Through it all, the baby was a constant reminder of joy and motivation. His first laugh, first attempts at crawling, and the way he would reach for both parents simultaneously became moments Uri and Tu Tieu cherished. Even small incidents, like a knocked-over basket of jackfruit or spilled rice, were met with laughter and teamwork. They learned to adapt quickly, balancing frustration with humor, turning minor setbacks into lessons and bonding experiences. One afternoon, Uri and Tu Tieu took the baby for a walk through the bamboo grove behind their wooden house. The sunlight filtered through the tall stalks, creating dappled patterns on the ground. The baby reached out to touch a bamboo shoot, giggling at the gentle swaying motion. Uri watched, smiling, and whispered, "Just like his mother. He notices the little things." Tu Tieu laughed softly, replying, "And just like his father, he also loves complicated adventures." Uri grinned, "No, Daddy loves Mommy." The tender exchange made her heart melt, a quiet moment of love amidst the busy rhythm of life. As evening approached, the family gathered around the kitchen table. The smell of freshly cooked sticky rice and jackfruit filled the air. Lin had calmed down completely, laughing at her earlier overreaction. Uri shared updates about the company's progress, the excitement of signing a new contract, and small wins that felt monumental. Tu Tieu listened, occasionally interrupting to comment on the baby's antics or offer a gentle tease about Uri's overexertion. The baby, ever curious, cooed and waved tiny arms, sensing the attention and energy around him. These moments, seemingly ordinary, were a tapestry of their life, a blend of laughter, hard work, and love. Later that night, as the baby slept, Uri and Tu Tieu reflected on their journey. "Do you think we'll ever get used to this?" Tu Tieu asked, her head resting on Uri's shoulder. He smiled softly. "Maybe not, but we'll handle it together, and that's enough." The days of uncertainty, sleepless nights, and unexpected mishaps had taught them resilience, patience, and the joy of small victories. Their love for each other and for the little life they had created grew stronger with each challenge faced. Even Lin, once a source of drama, became a part of this new rhythm. She learned to watch carefully, without interference, laugh at minor mishaps, and celebrate successes with the family. The motorbike incident became a story they retold with humor, the baby's giggles punctuating each retelling. Together, they discovered a balance between work, family, and personal growth. And so, life continued in their wooden home, filled with laughter, the scent of jackfruit, and the soft coos of a growing child. Uri's entrepreneurial journey, once daunting and exhausting, became intertwined with parenthood and daily adventures. Every spilled fruit, every minor chaos, and every heartfelt laugh became a part of their shared story. A story of resilience, love, and the joy of building something meaningful from the ground up by facing challenges together. Whether it was a cow toppling a bike, sleepless nights, or the painstaking work of starting a company, Uri, Tu Tieu, and even Lin learned that happiness wasn't about perfection. It was about embracing the messy, chaotic, and beautiful moments that life threw at them and cherishing the people who made it all worthwhile. In their wooden house, surrounded by bamboo, laughter, and love, they discovered a life that was messy, demanding, but ultimately perfect in its own way. After the 1-month celebration of their baby, Uri and Tu Tieu's peaceful wooden home is disrupted by a surprising mishap. Lin discovers her motorbike missing. Panicked, she accuses Uri, not realizing a stray cow had knocked it over while she had left it unlocked. Her own secret spying on Uri and Tu Tieu's jackfruit harvest led to her oversight. The tense moment quickly turns humorous as the family laughs at the misunderstanding, and even the baby giggles along. Meanwhile, Uri embarks on a challenging journey to start his own company independently, balancing legal paperwork, product design, staff recruitment, and childcare. With Tu Tieu's support, his efforts begin to pay off. Small projects generate profit, and the family navigates daily life with laughter, love, and touching moments. This story captures real-life parenting chaos, entrepreneurship struggles, and the warmth of family bonds.